Tokyo, Japan, August 23, 2025, a handshake that carried both history and urgency. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba welcomed South Korean President Lee Myung to Tokyo, marking a pivotal moment in regional diplomacy. This visit comes at a time both nations describe as a challenging environment. Beyond the ceremonial photographs and firm handshakes lies a shared recognition. Their strategic environment is shifting fast, driven by security threats, economic competition, and changing global alliances. For Japan and South Korea, cooperation has often been complicated by historical disputes and territorial disagreements. Yet, as regional tensions grow, particularly with North Korea's weapons programs and China's expanding influence, their leaders are signaling that pragmatism must outweigh rivalry. Prime Minister Ishiba underscored the symbolism of this moment. With 2025 marking 60 years since the normalization of ties between the two countries, he framed President Lee's trip as more than diplomatic protocol, as a turning point. Ishiba noted that Japan-South Korea relations and cooperation with the United States are becoming increasingly important in the face of regional instability. He acknowledged that while difficult issues remain between neighbours, both sides must pursue a consistent policy of engagement. President Lee, for his part, emphasised the meaning of choosing Japan as his first bilateral destination since taking office, the first South Korean leader to do so in decades. He argued that this decision reflects the weight his government places on rebuilding trust and advancing relations with Tokyo. In his remarks, Lee described South Korea and Japan as inseparable partners, neighbours sharing a front yard who must cooperate closely for peace and prosperity. His metaphor captured the unavoidable reality of geography and the necessity of partnership. Lee also stressed that in today's rapidly changing international order, unwavering trilateral cooperation among South Korea, Japan and the United States is more important than ever. He spoke of building what he called a virtuous cycle, where progress in Seoul-Tokyo relations fuels stronger trilateral ties with Washington. The symbolism of handshakes and joint statements may not erase decades of mistrust. Historical grievances remain, and public opinion in both countries can shift quickly. Yet, in the shadow of nuclear threats, economic rivalry, and shifting global alignments, Japan and South Korea are recalibrating their partnership. What emerges from this recalibration could shape not only their bilateral future, but the security architecture of East Asia. For now, the message from Tokyo is clear. History may weigh heavily, but the demands of the present and the uncertainty of the future require the two neighbours to stand closer together than at any point in recent memory. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between Japan and South Korea, so I consider it extremely significant that we are able to welcome President Lee Myung on this historic visit. As the strategic environment surrounding both countries becomes increasingly challenging, Japan-South Korea relations and Japan-South Korea-US cooperation are becoming increasingly important.
隣国であるがゆえに難しい問題も存在しておりますが、一貫した政策をとってまいります。
A wide range of exchanges have been steadily building between Japan and South Korea. At the same time, difficult issues exist as neighbouring countries, but we will pursue a consistent policy. Since the normalization of diplomatic relations between Korea and Japan in 1965, I am told that I am the first South Korean president to visit Japan as the first bilateral destination after taking office. I believe this in itself carries very important meaning, showing how much importance we place on South. Since my inauguration, I have emphasized that our two nations are inseparable partners, neighbors who share a front yard and who must cooperate closely for peace and prosperity. We also recognize that in a rapidly changing international order, unwavering trilateral cooperation among South Korea, the United States and Japan is more important than ever. And we resolve to build a virtuous cycle in which advances in South Korea-Japan relations lead to stronger trilateral South Korea-Japan-United States cooperation.